Welcome to Business Beyond the Mic, where we join Carli Van Heerden, CEO and founder of We Edit Podcasts. Together, let's uncover the art of podcasting.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Beyond the Mic. I'm your host, Carli Van Heerden. Today on the show, we welcome back resident guest Jennay Horn for this special holiday episode. Jennay is our very own content director at We Edit Podcasts and my go-to for all things words. During our conversation, we share our best tips for podcasters during this holiday season. We also share some of our own quirky holiday traditions, the best shows and podcasts that we like to listen to in this time, and more. From there, we take a step back and we really reflect on all that we've learned and achieved over this year. In fact, we are reminded to celebrate the small victories, be kind to ourselves, and not to be afraid to step out of our comfort zones to pursue our dreams. This is such a fun conversation, so join us in the festivities. Jennay, welcome back to Business Beyond the Mic. It is so great to have you on the show for this special holiday edition of the podcast.
Hi, Carli. It's so great to join you on the podcast again. I really had so much fun the last time, and I can't wait to get into this special holiday episode.
So we thought we would get together again and just talk about all the best tips that we have for this holiday season to keep your momentum going as a podcaster and just show you the ropes of what we do here at Business Beyond the Mic as well.
And so since this is the bonus episode of Business Beyond the Mic and it's all about the holidays, why don't we start with some of our favorite holiday traditions?
Yeah, I love this. And you always say you love to hear people's quirky little things that they do. And I was thinking back on this, I don't actually have too many weird things necessarily, but the one thing that I love is watching the movie Love Actually. That has been an absolute favorite of mine since it came out, and it's crazy like how long it's been out there for. And then another thing that I've been laughing about these days is I always advocate for having two trees. Like the one can be like special memory ones and the other one can be like the beautiful tree. And that's what I advocate for. And oh yeah, one of the other things that we've started the last few years is I always make sugar cookies with the kids. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing because we all eat them and not the kids so much, but it's been a fun tradition and they love to do it. And it's just like, yeah, baking makes it magical.
No, I can imagine that and also it's such a special memory for them to have with you. And the extra sugar cookies are an added bonus. So highly advocate for that.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm in the Southern Hemisphere, so I have a green Christmas more than a white Christmas. And so a lot of my traditions are kind of finding the balance between those things. So one that's very much a green Christmas orientated is we always have Christmas carols on the beach. And I do live in a small town, but thousands of people turn up to this and It's just beautiful. The weather sometimes plays along, sometimes doesn't, but it's just, if you can imagine thousands of people on a beach, candles, it's just magical. And it really does sort of set the tone for the season. The other tradition that we started doing is crafting our own gingerbread houses. I do this with my sister, my sister-in-laws, and my niece. And we kind of low-key compete as to who's made the better house. Yeah. But the fun part is we always have them on display. And as you walk past it, you start noticing that things start disappearing. There's like a chimney missing, someone's eaten off the lights. And so we always laugh that by the time Christmas comes around, we've got these shell of a house left. And then the other thing that is maybe a weird thing, because we don't really know how it happened, but always on Christmas Day, we have a curried banana salad as part of our food. And we always eat it at Christmas and we think, wow, this is delicious. We should always eat it throughout the year. We never, ever make it. Only Christmas. Have no idea how we sort of onboarded this tradition, but it's something that has to always be there. Someone has to make the curried banana salad.
No, that's the thing. It just becomes special to your holiday. So then there's no point making it the rest of the year. Then it won't be special anymore.
That's true. That's true. And that's probably why it tastes so nice, because if you knew the ingredients, you wouldn't think on paper that it works, but it's delicious with Christmas stuff.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that you guys go on the beach for Christmas. It's I remember obviously for my childhood, we did the same thing, but for the last however many years, it's been a white Christmas. Oh, I guess we were in Mexico last year. So we were kind of on a beach.
We did have a green Christmas.
Yes. How funny. But no, I love the winter Christmases. It's super magical. I say my next goal is I want to go to New York and just go to Central Park in the Christmas time. That's my dream Christmas soon.
That's amazing. That would be it's definitely a bucket list item for me too.
Yeah.
It must be absolutely incredible. All the movies will be true then. So while we're on the topic of holiday traditions, how are some ways that podcasters can add some festive flair and holiday cheer into their podcast episodes over the festive seasons? Are there fun ways that you've seen people do it? And what advice do you have for podcasters looking to sprinkle a little Christmas magic?
Well, as you can see, you can decorate your area in the holiday fashion. So whatever you love to do, whether it's a green Christmas or a white Christmas, I just added a few little trinkets and got my little antlers on, and now I feel super festive. And honestly, I feel like when you start decorating for Christmas, your mood is so much better. So do it. I recommend decorating your space. And find like a holiday angle that you can share with your listeners. Whether it's, sharing your traditions like we just did, because I'm sure your listeners would like to know what you do, whether it's in your personal life or in your podcast. You can even change the content of your podcast to include like more stress relief things or tips for the holidays or how to stay away from getting a cold when you need to be recording, or even diving into the history of the holidays. I love to just learn more about, where things come from, why you do the traditions that you do, especially things that are unique to your family.
I love that. Or you can put on a Christmas sweater and just feel festive. And it really does help boost the mood. I actually read a study that said people who decorate early for Christmas are proven to be happier. Yep. So there's something to be said about mood boosting and Christmas decorations. Mm-hmm. I think some of the favorite ways that I've seen podcasters incorporate this holidays into their episodes. We actually did a post about this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast digest, diving into this topic, sharing some of our favorite ways that we've seen, and we can link to that in the show notes. But like you've said, I love hearing about people's traditions. I think it's a great way to connect to people and find out a little bit more about them that you wouldn't have known before. As you said, putting a holiday spin on the content. But I've also seen podcasters include bonus episodes where they talk about their favorite holiday movies, and it's outside of their normal publishing schedule, but it's Christmas orientated, holidays orientated, and just a fun way to get involved with it, still within your podcast space, but not necessarily within your content.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can change it up for, anything from a holiday survival guide to
very much needed
dealing with your in-law, anything that you need to help your audience and your listeners just get a little bit of a kick out of the holiday season and draw them in a bit more, build a little bit of community around the holidays and your show. So I love to see that. And also don't forget to add some new Christmassy or holiday or whatever type of jingles. Cause honestly, that's, you might drive people nuts by doing a little bit Mariah Carey or Michael Bublé, but it's always fun. I don't know. I love it. It can be on repeat for me.
Who doesn't love a little Mariah Carey or Michael Bublé over the holidays?
Yeah, exactly.
They have cornered the music industry over this season. Good on them.
Mm-hmm, totally.
Now, obviously, the holidays are a time when many people, including podcasters, may be looking to take a little time off, to spend time with their family, to bake those sugar cookies, and just enjoy the festive season. But obviously, when it comes to podcasting, we know that consistency is key, and you always want to keep that momentum. So what advice do you have for podcasters looking to take some time off during the holidays, or time off in general, sometime in the upcoming year, without losing that hard-earned momentum?
So of course, we also appreciate the time off at We Edit. We love to say that our team spends time with their family and we really take that deserved break and just to relax and switch off. But things still keep going. We still need to publish episodes for clients. We still need to publish my episodes. So we can't completely take it off. So that's why we say batch record. So prepare your episodes in advance, especially when you know you're going to be taking time off. Make sure that your social posts are ready. Make sure that all of the things are edited and completed well beyond time and scheduled for published dates. So we definitely, and I mean, me too. I love to batch record. I love to get get ahead of the schedule. And like, a little behind the scenes, it's not in fact the 24th of December today. We are recording in November just so that we can get ahead of the schedule. And yeah, so we totally advocate for that. And yeah, prepare your audience is another one of the things, because if you're communicating, this is what's going to be happening. We're going to be doing special holiday episodes, or even if you are recording seasons, this is a kind of a great time to close that season out or, take a little halfway break. So those are other ways that you can do it. Or to fill in the gaps, if you aren't releasing new guests or new interviews, you can do little bonus episodes like this one talking about the holidays, or you can even add in reruns or recaps from the year, or even swapping with other podcasters to do a little bit of a RSS swap. So yeah, there's a lot of options out there to keep your momentum going without actually having to put in the work during the holidays.
That's such great advice. And we've kind of taken from that on the content side as well. And we've tried to prepare our content well in advance. As a team, we've worked to get our posts ready, whether that's the blog, social media. So we are able to really enjoy that time without losing that connection with the audience, which is a really key tip and something that we've loved learning along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, and I forgot to say, you can even do like a little trailer or a sneak peek of what's to come for the new year. Those are really fun because it gives your audience something to look forward to and actually builds a little bit of excitement for the new year.
I love that. And I also love, I think you might have mentioned it, but if you haven't, one of my favorite ways is when they release sort of bloopers, because if you're a fan of the show, you remember that episode. And so you don't always need all the context of it, but just the bloopers that happened when things fell over or things happened. They make for great episodes, particularly if you've built that loyal listener base. They'll love to hear that sort of things. At least I do. So that's another way to fill the gap.
The true behind the mic scenes.
Yes, what really happened.
Oh, I love it. We'll have a lot of those.
Yes, yeah, no, we would. So there's an idea. We'll store that one. You never know. Stay tuned.
Totally. Absolutely. Oh, well, now looking back on this year and just how much has changed in the industry and everything, what have been some of your favorite podcasts that you've listened to so far?
So I obviously listen to a lot of podcasts and I listened to so many great ones this year. I'm not going to mention my staples because they're obviously my staples and so they can stay there. But if you want to find out what those are, reach out to me either on LinkedIn or Threads and I'll fill you in on what some of those favorite podcasts are. But the ones that I specifically started listening to this year and I loved, the first one was The Trial of Lucy Letby. Fascinating story, quite crazy. But what was really interesting was just the concept of how they ran their concept. And it really showed different things that you can do with podcasting. It really pushed boundaries and almost formed a new niche within the true crime sort of base. So highly recommend that one, just from a story point of view, as well as from a podcasting point of view. Very, very interesting. Then the other podcast that I really found so fascinating this year was Scamander. And I know it was a very popular choice, but that one was, I don't think I've ever let out audible gasps or, oh no, she didn't, out loud from a podcast before because the story was just that crazy. So highly recommend it if you're looking for a fascinating true crime story. And then a totally shameless but no less genuine plug. I really have enjoyed the episodes of Business Beyond the Mic. They've been so fascinating to hear other people's stories. Your guests have been incredible with how they've shared so open-handedly, how they've talked through their journey, what they've shared, and that'll definitely be one of my top 3 from this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I want to just dive into there too, is I've been literally listening to so many incredible podcasts just from everybody that I've had on the show, like diving into their episodes as I'm preparing for the interview has been so much fun. Like I've learned a lot about them, not even just their podcast, but with the interviews that they've done with other people on other podcasts. And yeah, just finding like these amazing little gems that you wouldn't know. And then I get to connect with them too. So yeah, I just want to say I love each and every one of my guests. And I've been so grateful just to have them on the show and learn more about their podcast and their journey. And it's been way more fun than you could even have imagined. And yeah, I've learned a ton. So that has been literally my point of view, has been learning focused. So yeah, maybe in the new year, I can do a little bit more of the storytelling aspect of things, which I'm excited for.
I'd be so excited to hear that. And I think that's also a fascinating thing. You've got a niche that you've developed, but there's so much space within it and so many other facets that you can explore and experience. Yeah. And as you've included your listeners in on the journey, they're just going to be so excited to see the new steps that you take and the new ways you share your journey, you share other people's journeys. I'm super excited.
Well, why don't we pivot now? Talking about podcasts, what are your favorite holiday podcasts over the season?
I also have a list of podcasts that I love listening to over the holiday season. One that's not necessarily Christmas or holiday season related is Modern Love. I just love the stories that they share on that. They are some of my favorite podcast episodes just of all time are from that podcast. So that's just one that I enjoy if I'm baking, if I'm kind of spring cleaning for the new year. That'll be something that I'll just put on. But then the Christmas centered ones, there's Christmas Countdown, which, as the name suggests, they've named it very well. It's just a collection of countdowns from things that are Christmas themed. So there'll be ranging from the top 10 Christmas movies to the top 10 Christmas holiday traditions to Christmas songs to stocking stuffers, all sorts of countdowns. Love hearing those sort of things. There's also Christmas Past, which again sort of explores that human element, that history element of the holidays. And that does really fascinating deep dives into stories behind everything related to this time of year. And then I've got a bonus mention of 2 podcasts that can be geared towards family and kid listening. The one is called Welcome to Tinseltown. It's a bit of an older show, but it's a great listen. Great. Such a fun one to listen with your kids, and a fun thing to sit around the tree or however you celebrate the holidays. Really fun show. And then a new one that started this year is called Tis the Grinch's Talk Show. Tis the Grinch Holiday Talk Show. And it is maybe more geared towards kids, but if you're going to listen to anything, I really think parents or adults will find this really amusing. That sort of dry, typical Grinch humor shines through. It's really tongue-in-cheek, really highly recommended for a fun Christmas listen. It's a great one.
Yeah, my son loves the Tinseltown one, but I think he's going to enjoy the Grinch because the other day he saw a photo. He's like, "Oh, Mom, show me the Christmas monster." I'm like, "You mean the Grinch?" He's like,
"Oh, fantastic."
So he loves those. But yeah, the holiday ones are super enjoyable and just so fun to like get you in the mood to, spend time with your family and everything. And it's great. One that I found recently, and it's, not for the children. For those looking for a little bit more of the strange tales is the Midnight Carols. And it's actually like a story about this group of people who find and get an invitation to like this special order, like a private group or whatever. And it's set back in the day. So yeah, it's a full cast with, sound effects and like the whole thing. So it's basically like an audio experience. So yeah, it's really good. I would recommend that to everybody. And one that I'm excited to actually dive into is the Calm Christmas podcast with Beth Kempton. So she shares soothing, wintry words from her favorite poets and writers, tips to have a stress-free holiday, and advice for taking care of yourself in this year. So I think that's really important too. So yeah, that one is on my list for those days that you just want to wind down and get some. Yeah, I love the word that she says, words from her favorite poets. It's so magical. And yeah, I'm excited to dive into that one.
I'm excited to check both of those out. I love the idea of the full audio Christmas experience. And then, like you said, it's actually also important to know how to wind down, to not get caught up in the magic side of it, but not with the maybe negative side of it. So the Calm Christmas sounds like such a great listen. I'm excited to check those ones out too.
Yeah. Now, let's just dive into a little bit of a reflection of the year, because with this podcast launch, there has been a lot that I've learned. And I know working in the podcast industry, we learn a lot along the day, like every day. I mean, there's always something new coming out. There's always some new tool for podcasters to use. So, on a personal note and on a work note, Jennay, how have you reflected on this year and what have you learned?
It's a great question. And it's always this time of year that kind of gets you thinking like that. We're looking forward to the new year, but I think it's so important to reflect and kind of take stock of where you are look at your wins, maybe the misses, and see what you can learn from that. My dad always says you either win or you learn. So I think that's a great way to kind of reflect on stuff. I think for me, my personality is always going to feel like I could have done more, which is something I probably will work on a little bit in the new year, not being as hard on myself. But also looking back, it was a really great year. We had a company get together at the beginning of the year where we got to meet in person and meet people that we've communicated with over Slack for so long, but now we could actually put a real face to the name. And that was really just such an incredible experience. It feels like it was ages ago, but it was just one of the highlights of my year. And I've also got to work on some custom launches this year, met some really interesting people. It's been fun kind of stretching my content ability and matching content to what the client's looking for. I really enjoy that experience. And I love getting to work with you on the newsletter. I really think we've taken that and pivoted it to a point that's, I hope, real. I hope people are enjoying it. I know for me, it's kind of like therapy and a way to reflect for myself. So I've enjoyed it on a personal note, and I hope other people have as well. But it's been great working with you on that, and also just learning from you. Every time you share something, I'm like, oh, I could do that going forward, or that's such an important. And honestly, I'm not just saying that. You've shared such valuable insights from all walks of your life, from all facets of your life, and I think it's really relatable. So I've loved doing that. And then on a sort of personal, professional overlap, I've really leaned into LinkedIn this year, and I've loved learning about things like developing your personal brand. I've really enjoyed learning from all types of content creators and thought leaders on the platform. There's people doing incredible things there, and it's really value giving and it's empowering, and I've loved that. And then I've also made some really cool connections along the way, and opportunities that I've had that I wouldn't have had before through those connections. And I look forward to exploring that a little bit more in the new year. But overall, a really, really good year. And I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. And you've actually been on more than one podcast now. Woohoo!
Yes, I've really got podcast episodes under my belt a little bit, and it's getting better with each one.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And just to see you come alive with what you've worked on personally and also sharing in the podcast realm has been so incredible. And I would have to agree with you that this year has been such an incredible learning experience for me, and pivoting from being a full-time mom and getting back full-time into the company has been so enjoyable, but the learning curve has been crazy on all fronts. So I've really challenged myself, stepped out of my comfort zone again. Yeah, I've loved being able to just have that goal and putting it out there into the universe and actually doing it. So yeah, launching my first podcast, well, not my first, but me as the host podcast has been such a fun journey. And I feel like there are some goals that I still wanted to reach by this year, but the amount that I've already been able to do has been, just incredible so far. So in a short period of time, we've launched a show, we've grown a show, and we've developed a show and developed my own personal system as a podcaster behind the mic, which has been such a fun journey to share with others. And to learn more about other podcasters in the process has been a great journey. But lots to come.
It's so exciting. Watch out 2024. There's big things happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Carli, from your own personal point of view and from a We Edit podcast point of view, what have been things that you've been reflecting on over this past year? And what would you like to share from your wins and your lessons and your learnings over this year?
I think also from my personal and work front of things, like I've said multiple times talking to people, is my word this year has been reinventing. And it's not to change who you are. It's to continuously be working on yourself day by day so that you are a better version of yourself than you were yesterday, just from what you've learned and how you've applied it to your life. So I'm continuously reinventing every day, learning more about every aspect of not only my business, but my podcast as well. And just trying to apply the things that you've learned, because it's easy to learn all these things, but it's harder to execute and to put it into practice. So that has been my goal of the year. And not only on the personal brand side of things, but also the community that I'm building around the company has been one of the biggest things that I've love to pursue and continue to pursue in the new year.
So since we last sat down, you've obviously got so many more episodes under your belt. And as you've said, you've learned and gleaned from so many people and so many different guests and walks of life. But what have been some of the biggest lessons or takeaways that you've experienced from Business Beyond the Mic this year?
So there are a few. There are a lot. With every guest, I learned something new. And some of the biggest themes that have popped out is that you should be podcasting from your why, podcasting from, what your purpose is and being out there to help others. And then you won't go astray. So that was one of the big ones. And the number 2 was being able to adopt a beginner's mindset, to be a student again, to be vulnerable, to learn, to admit what you don't know, and to learn from those around you. Find the mentors that'll pull you forward into achieving your goals when you don't know where to start in the beginning. And then the final one has just been streamlining your process. That has been one of the biggest things for me because of how busy my day to day is. I can't be sitting on an episode and mulling over what we've gone through, soaking in the content as much. I have to streamline my process. Like if I'm doing an interview today, I have to sit after the interview's done. I have to debrief right away, create my intro, submit everything to my team, and then let it go. I can't wait a long time because then I actually cause more stress for myself because I am like, okay, there are these 4 episodes still sitting there and I have everything else to do the rest of the day on top of that. So streamlining my process has been the biggest thing for me, as a podcaster, just to be able to take that stress off. And if you're doing these batch recordings, you have to work ahead. So it doesn't help if you got 5 episodes recorded, but they're not ready to go because then you're not really ahead. It's like an illusion. But so those are the big things that I've learned.
I think that's such an important lesson. And there's been things similar in my own journey this year of just finding not necessarily better ways to do things, but there is a way to do things that does just save time or get you in. You don't have to build up to getting what was this episode about? Or in terms of, for us with the content creation with the blog and then the videos we're sharing on social media, if I wait for the day that we're actually posting those, then I was like, what did I write about again? I've written so many things in between, particularly if we're batch recording. Got to remember what I did. And so I think it's just finding those processes that save you time, and it's that whole work smarter, not harder. And when you're in a groove, work in that groove. Things flow so much easier because it's a groove. That's why they're grooves.
Because that's a big thing too. If you're putting in all this effort and you're spending too much time faffing over the little details, there's not a lot of reward in that time and that effort that you spent. So you have to really find where are you going to have the highest leverage of success and put your effort and your time into those things instead.
No, it's such a great thing. And another one of the books that I read this year was, I think I read it again actually, was The Atomic Habits. And just setting yourself up for success by building small habits that yield fantastic results. Also, they might not yield the results immediately, but little bit by little bit, you've shaved off 3 hours of your time here, or even just the stress of it. You've released that stress from yourself, in your case, doing the intros. And that's a huge win in the long run. And so it's just that setting yourself up for success. Highly recommend that as a read. If anyone's looking for a read over the holiday season, that's a good one. And then as we come to a close, what are you looking forward to in the new year? Personally, from the podcasting space, from your own show, what do you look forward to in 2024?
I'm so looking forward to all the interesting guests, obviously. That has been my backbone of the podcast. But I'm also excited to expand the content a bit because it's been lovely to share these bonus episodes to kind of debrief, recap, get a new spin on things, and actually be able to teach people and our listeners what we've learned, because that is the point of the show, right? It's not just to ramble on everybody's point of view or opinions is actually to take those actionable advice. That's those steps that you can take and implement it into your podcasting journey. And I find that those recap episodes are so much more valuable if you can condense all of the information into one. It's like a superpower episode. So I'm excited to expand on the content front. And then also, I want to make Jennay's dreams come true and maybe launch some merch in the new year for the show, for the company. I think it's going to be such a fun culture thing for all of us on the team, everybody who's supported us and has worked so hard on the show. I'm excited to see that come to life.
I'm very excited too. And I will clarify, it was an actual dream. I won't say what it was because that'll be watch the space sort of things. We'll let you know the closer we get. But I messaged Carli. I was like, I had this dream. We had merch. It looked like this. I can't believe it felt so real. I was so upset when I woke up and it wasn't real. So I'm personally and professionally super excited about merch. Watch the space, everybody.
Yay. Wow, this has been so fun, Jennay, just diving into all of these holiday things. Is there any last piece of advice from your side as everybody's preparing for the holiday season?
I think it's be kind to yourself. I know that's often a cliche piece of advice, but it's to really not be hard on yourself. Look back at the year, things that don't need to measure success on. You don't have to measure success by your metrics. You don't have to measure success by numbers. Look at the places that you've grown. Look at the places where you did things that you never thought you'd be able to do, never thought you'd have the opportunity to. And me being on these podcasts have been a testament to that. And be kind to yourself in terms of what you have achieved. You really have achieved a lot if you look back and kind of spread the glance back over so many different areas. And then also going forward, like your time is valuable. Find ways to streamline it so that you can love what you do, continue to love what you do, and enjoy spending time with those around you. So find those systems and those habits that really save you time and maximize your output. So from your maximize the output from less input so that you and always pour from a full cup. That was something else that I learned this year. I can't give you if I don't have. So it's good for me to fill up my cup too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's been my biggest takeaway.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Jennay. And I know that everybody can take all of these tips and just implement it if it's not this year. I mean, it's never too late to implement all of these tips for the new year, for just your time away and just making sure that you are staying productive without having to work yourself to the bone, work smarter, not harder, and then still being able to put out incredible, valuable content for your audience and engaging with your community on a whole new level as they see a new side of you and enjoy every part of this season together. So, Jennay, thank you so much for coming on the show today and helping me celebrate the holiday season with a podcast flair to it. And I am just so excited to see what comes in the new year and all of the incredible episodes we'll dream up for next year.
Thank you so much for having me on again, Carli. And there's one thing about me, I will always dress up for an occasion. So any other holiday that you want me to put something on, wear a weird hat, put on a sweater, I'm there. I love it. And I just love the opportunity that you've created for us at We Edit Podcast. We've really had a fantastic year. And then from us as a team, it's just been such an honor and a privilege to work with you for your vision and the vision of our clients and bring their content to light and to life. And I can't wait for all that 2024 has in store for us all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in and stay tuned for another special edition next week.